Hello, everyone. On today's podcast episode, I'm going to talk about happiness in heaven and how, many people believe that, happiness is something that happens to you, they have the expectations that in order to be happy, you don't have to do much for, to get happiness. When the truth is, you should see happiness like money. In order for you to be happy, you have to work hard to achieve happiness. Yes, it may sound, contradictory to what you've probably heard before or what you think in your mind. You just think that you just your normal state of being is happiness, right? When the truth is, your normal state of being is it's a duality. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're not happy. That's how life works. But for you to be constantly happy, right? You have to work hard. Just like you work hard to make money, you have to work hard to achieve happiness. You have to see happiness like money, something you have to work hard to get. It is not something that comes for free. Happiness does not come for free. In the Bible, there's a phrase that I've mentioned before on this podcast, previous episodes, is that the road to heaven is large and the road to hell is small and narrow, right? The road to heaven is large. The reason why the Bible says the road to hell is large and the road to heaven is narrow. Sorry, I was distracted. I was watching something. The road to heaven is small and narrow and the road to hell is large. That's the phrase. The road to heaven is small and narrow and the road to hell is large. When you see that phrase, that tells you something. It tells you that the road to hell, hell, in hell, there's only negative emotions. There's only pain, depression, sadness, sorrow, anxiety, stress, and suicidal thoughts, melancholy, and all the other malaise of life. That's where hell is. And that's how this life works too. The road to depression, sadness, sorrow, pain, anxiety, stress, and all the other, mental disorders that you end up getting as you get older, is large. It's easy. When the road is large, it's easy for you to walk on it. A large road is easy to walk on. A narrow and small road is hard to walk on. So the road to heaven, the road to happiness in this world is much harder to walk on than the road to depression and sadness and sorrow. And because the road to hell is so large, because it's so large, it's so easy to walk on. Many people just take that choice because it's easy. If the road is that large, it means it's a welcoming road. Who doesn't want to walk in the road where they feel comfortable, where they feel there's leeway to move around. It's large, big, it's perfect. But that's an illusion. It's so welcoming that you just automatically pick that choice. The road to depression and sadness is so welcoming that you automatically assume that's the best choice for you to make, right? But that's how life works. It's an illusion. The things that look perfect on the outside are usually detrimental on the inside. Satan, it was a perfect, it looks like Satan was the most beautiful angel. The most beautiful angel out of all of them. The most beautiful looking creature. So if you see Satan, you automatically assume that person is the most perfect human being possible. The most perfect being possible. Because it's so beautiful. Yet behind that beauty is the evil, that you can't, that your mind is incapable of understanding. Behind the beauty of Satan is extreme evil. So if you're someone who chases after, things that look easy, fun, on the outside, chances are you may be chasing after exactly what you don't want in life. Depression, sadness, sorrow, pain, anxiety, stress. The easy route is always the hard. The easy route is always, the easy route is always easy at the beginning, but as you go down it, that's when you start realizing, your life is getting more and more miserable. It's so easy to get into a relationship. But as you start going down it, that's when you start realizing that, no, this is not the relationship I want to be in. That is why most marriages end in divorce. It's so easy to just grab any random person and get into a relationship because you don't want to, you don't want to be seen as a single person. You don't want to be seen as an unmarried person. You jump into a relationship because it's easy to get into a relationship. It's hard to stay in a relationship. And the reason why it's hard to stay in a relationship is because, if you choose to get into a relationship just to get into a relationship, not because you like the other person. You see the person, if the person is rich, you decide to be in a relationship because it's rich. If the person is popular, you start to get into a relationship because the person is popular. You're not getting into a relationship because of the person itself. You get into a relationship because of all the benefits you get from being in a relationship with that person. But, and that's the illusion of life, is that the person may look perfect on the outside. His life may look perfect, or her life may look perfect on the outside, but that's the biggest trap of your life. Satan looks perfect on the outside, but inwardly, he's the cruelest devil you've ever met. He's the greatest devil you'll ever see in your life. So if you're someone who likes chasing relationships, just know that 90% of most marriages fail. Most marriages fail. There's a reason why it fails. It's not because, the people in the relationships aren't working on their relationship properly. It's the opposite. They keep choosing to be in a relationship with people they don't like. It's a basic fact. Your relationship would not end if you didn't choose someone you didn't like to begin with. If you didn't choose someone you didn't know to begin with. If you keep chasing relationships without realizing who you're, getting into a relationship with, you just see someone you've just met or you've heard about them, you hang around with them. Usually people get into a relationship with either two people they've never met before, or people they've known, they've been around with, but just know that, they don't really know them that much. But they've been around them or they've heard of them, but they don't really know them that much, And then the last one is the ones that, they know them, and because they know them, they just settle with them. Not because they like them, but because they have no choice. They feel like they have to be in a relationship, so they just settle with them. If you're someone who gets in a relationship without realizing that, this is not the person I want to be with, of course, in the future, your life will be filled with depression, sadness, anxiety, stress, and all the other, mental disorders that, science, the mental health industry, is trying to fix. If you don't make conscious choices, if you don't choose your friends, if you don't choose your family members, if you don't choose your spouse through efforts, you have to make effort to find the right person. The right person does not come to you. You have to go look for the right person. If you just accept anyone that comes to you, your life will be miserable. You have to go out of your way to look for the right person. You have to spend time studying the person you're going to get into a relationship with, whether it's the person you actually want to be with or not. Do not just choose people randomly. It's easy to go to hell. It's easy to go to the world of depression and sadness. It's hard to come out of it. Once you get into a relationship with someone, and you start having kids with them, your life is over. That person will be in your life for the rest, will be in your life forever. Even after you break up, they'll still be around you. There's so many wives getting killed by their ex-boyfriends or ex-husbands years after they've broken up. There's so many husbands who's been getting killed by their, ex-wives and ex-girlfriends years after they've broken up. This is the world we live in. It's easy to get into a relationship. It's hard to get out of it. If you're someone who chases people, who allows anyone into your life, you may be bringing the wrong people into your life. And the moment, years later, after you find out you're not with the right person, it will be very hard for you to break up with them because they do not want to let go of you. They get jealous very easily because all the things you guys used to do, now you're doing it with someone else. And they don't like that. They want you around them as a pet, even if they don't like you. They will still want you around them as a pet, as a toy, as a slave. There are many controlling people in this world who will not want you to go the moment you come into their life. They will force you, even if they don't like you at all. They'd rather have a fake relationship than have no relationship at all. People, that's the reason why you got into a relationship to begin with. You want a fake relationship. You'd rather be in a relationship that you don't like than be single. If you'd rather be in a relationship that you don't like than be single, your spouse also has that mindset. They'd rather be in a relationship that they don't like than be single. So if you try to break up with them, guess what? They'll try every means possible to drag you back into that failed relationship. They'll try every means possible, including murder. And this is what you have to deal with in life. The road to hell looks easy. It's easy to just get into, to just accept anyone's proposal for a relationship. It's hard to deny someone. When someone asks you, as someone that's been around you for a while, asks you to be their lover, right? It's so hard to just say no. You don't want to let them down. That's how life is. The road to heaven is so hard to get to because you don't want to let your that friend down. He's been around you for a long time. He won't handle it properly. You don't want to let him down, so you say yes. Let's get into a relationship. Or you don't want to let your family members down that, this is the third person that have asked you out and you still said no. You're still single. Your parents, your family members, they still want you to be in a relationship so badly and you're still single. So you accept the proposal to get into a relationship, that fake relationship. And now years later, you want out. You may have wanted out from the very beginning, but you didn't know how to say no. You didn't know how to say no. It's easy. It was just easier for you to just accept the proposal. It was just easier for you to just say yes. Now your life will be miserable. Now you're going towards hell. You're more angry. You're more violent. You're more likely. You're more prone to anger. You're more prone to violence because your mental state is not there. You're not where you want to be. You're not where you want to be in life. And you're not with who you want to be in life. All these negative, emotions, the feeling of regret, the feeling of shame, the feeling of anger, the stress of being forced into a relationship you don't want to be in. All these negative emotions, will show. It'll make it easier for you to sin in the future as well. Make it easier for you to kill people, harm others, mock, insult, and do all the evil things in life. It's much easier for you to do it when you're forced into a bad relationship you don't want to be in. Your life will be miserable from then on. And this is how life works. If you want happiness in this world, you have to chase after it. You have to work hard to get happiness. You have to say no to the easy things that, you can tell in the future that you're not going to be happy with it. But you just said yes anyways because, you felt like you had no choice. It's just easier for you to just say yes to that person who wanted to be in a relationship with you, even though you didn't like them. It was so easy to just say yes to them. But it's so hard to say no. And that's how life works, And God will not force you to say yes. God will not force you to say no. God did not force Adam and Eve to not eat that apple. God gave you free will, and he follows that rule very, very well. You have the free will to say yes or no in your life. You have the free will to go to heaven or hell. It's your choice. It is your choice. If God hasn't forced Satan to become a heavenly person, a sinless person, God would not force you to become a sinless person. God can only encourage you to be a kinder person in the world. He will not force you to go to heaven. You have to make the conscious choice to go to heaven. You have to make the conscious choice to chase after happiness. You have to make the conscious choice to live a better life in this world. You have to make a conscious choice to find the right partner for you. I'm not telling you to be single for the rest of your life. I'm telling you not to chase after people you don't want to be in a relationship with. Not to accept proposal randomly. Not to be in the job that, it's easy to get into. There's so many jobs that hire on a daily basis. If you're a poor person or you're someone who's struggling, it's so easy to get into the job that, that's ready to hire you, knowing full well you don't like that job. If you know full well that you don't like that job, or you end up finding out in the future that you don't like that job, the better things you can do in life to make yourself happier is to leave that job immediately. Look for a better job. That's your only option. You either look for a better job now, or in the future you may end up killing everyone in that job. That's why there's so many shootouts. The people that go to their job to kill people had many chances to leave that job years before, weeks before, months before, even before they decide to kill someone. That very day, that they decided to go to the to their work to kill people. They could have quit their jobs that day. But the road to happiness is hard, and the road to hell is easy. So it was easier for them to just say no. Instead of quitting my job and finding a better job that I enjoy more, why not just go into this, to work and kill people? That's their mindset. It's easy to go to hell. It's hard to go to heaven. Why not risk my life and go on a shootout with the police or random strangers? When I could just quit my job, why not just do that instead? Because it's easier to just, to stay at a bad situation than leave it. If you're in an abusive relationship, it's easier to stay in the abusive relationship than to get out of it. It's hard to get out of it. It's hard to go to heaven. It's easy to go to hell. And this is how life works. If you want to chase after what makes you good, happy, if you want to chase after a long life, it's easy to start doing drugs. It's hard to stop doing drugs. It's easy to do drugs. It's easy to eat fast food and all these, I'm not saying all fast foods are bad, but you just know that cooking your own meal, right? You know every ingredient that goes into it. Yes, it's harder, but it means you know exactly what's going on in your food. If something makes you sick, you know exactly what made you sick, right? And the next time you cook a meal, you won't add it to your meal. When you eat out, right? You can't tell what made you sick. Sometimes it's not the restaurant's problem. It's you. You may be allergic to something in that food that you don't even know. And because you didn't cook the meal, you will not be able to tell what part of that meal, you're allergic to. And sometimes some of these restaurant, workers do not care one bit about their customers. And they'll ruin the food. And there's so many cases of people, accidentally eating human meat. Yes. These restaurants cook human meat. If you're someone who doesn't want to accidentally eat human meat in the future, visit restaurant less often. Cook your own food. If you're someone who doesn't like, getting the accidental food poisoning from all these meals that you keep eating out, cook your own meal. It's hard to cook your own meal. It's easy to just buy food online. If you're someone who's already broke, if you spend all your money buying food online, you will always remain broke. If you spend your money buying food at restaurants, you always remain broke. It's hard to go to heaven. It's easy to go to hell. It's easy to just buy, just go to a restaurant and just buy food, buy something, let them cook it for you. But the downside of that is you don't know what you're eating. You have no idea what you're truly eating in life. And one of these days, you could be one of those people who died from food poisoning. That could be you. That's how life works. It's easy to go to hell. It's hard to go to heaven. I'm not telling you not to go out, occasionally to buy some food to eat, or go out, to a restaurant. I'm just telling you that if that's your lifestyle, there's a brick wall coming for you in the future. And a lot of these restaurants close often. 90% of all businesses fail for a reason. That means 90% of these restaurants will fail in the future. That should tell you something. It should tell you that some of these, many of these businesses, these restaurants are badly managed. They may not care about the customers as much as you think they do. They may not care about you as much as you think they do. They may not care, they may not care about your health as much as you think they do. So if you're someone who eats out more often than others, guess what? There's a high chance in the future hell will come to your doorstep. If it's easy to get, chances are it's not that good for you. If it's hard, not just that, if it's hard to get, it's automatically good for you. That's not true. You have to go out of your way to find out whether it's good for you or not. The hard part isn't whether, it's hard to get. It's whether you actually like it. Go after what you like. And it's hard to go after what you like in life. It's easier to just settle for what you don't want in life. It's so much easier. The road to heaven is small and narrow, meaning it's very hard to walk in that narrow road. But every time you fall, God is there to help you get up. If you're willing to get up, God will help you get up. God is there to help you get up every time you fall. But you must first be willing to get up. If you're not willing to abandon that bad relationship and move to a different state, move to a different city, and leave that person alone, that person will always be in your life. You know, if you're not willing to get out of that failed job that you're in, you know, that failed job with all the people that you hate will still be in your life, and sooner or later you get so fed up, you'll rather just go inside and just start fighting people or start killing people, or start breaking things, and then get fired. This is how life works. Or worse, you'll stick to it, and all that depression, anxiety, and stress will kill you. All those negative emotions and feelings that you get when you're at that job will kill you. You'll die of stress. You die an early death of stress. That's how life works. It's easier to go to hell than it is to go to heaven. It's easier to find sadness and sorrow than it is to find happiness. Happiness does not just happen to you. You look for it. You look for it by being kind, by being kinder to others. You look for it by, sinning less and less in life. You look for it by choosing, going after the things that you actually like doing in life instead of the things that you hate doing. You're so peer pressured into doing, many people are so peer pressured. They just do the things that everyone else around them is doing. If you keep doing what everyone else around you is doing, you'll be just as depressed as everyone else around you. And that's how life works. If you follow others, towards hell, you will experience a depressed and miserable life, just like everyone else. Yes, you may think they're all happy, but it's a lie. The world, it's hard to show your emotions in this world. You get mocked for being sad. Because you get mocked for being sad and depressed. You get looked down on for being sad and depressed. Most people rather pretend to be happy than depressed. And that's how life works. Just like Satan looks beautiful on the outside, most people look perfect on the outside, but the inside of them, there's only depression and sadness hidden, behind the scenes. There's only evil hidden behind Satan. No matter how perfect their life look on the outside, behind that scene is depression and sorrow. You see all those marriages that look perfect on the outside, guess what? Most of them fail. That should tell you something. That should tell you that behind all the perfect couple pictures and all that, there's sorrow hidden behind the scenes. Just like Satan looks perfect on the outside, most of these relationships always look perfect on the outside. But behind the scenes, there's only depression, sorrow, and anxiety hidden behind the scenes. So if you want to pretend that they're happy and you chase after what they have, guess what? What they have is an illusion. Once you get what they have, you realize you have nothing but depression and sorrow left. Your life feels ruined, and you can't even get out of the bad relationship you're in. Because you didn't choose to get into a relationship because you like the person. You chose to get into a relationship because everyone else looked happy in the relationship. Because everyone else looked happy in the relationship, you jumped into any random relationship, and now you can't get out of it. You jumped into any random job, and now you can't get out of it. Now your life is miserable. Now you're stressed out. Now you're suicidal, and you don't know how to get yourself out of it. And this is how life works. If you want to go to hell, choose what other people are choosing without thinking. I'm not telling you not to choose what other people are doing. I'm just saying, if you want to go to heaven, look at what other people are doing and see whether this is what you like to do. If it's not what you like to do, don't make that choice. Choose something else. Look, make the conscious choice to look for what you want to do in life. If you follow others, your life will be miserable just like everyone else. That's how life works. If you follow others, your life will be, mindlessly. If you follow others mindlessly, your life will be miserable just like everybody else's. Make the conscious choice to be happy in life, and you're less likely to kill people. If you make the conscious choice to be happy in life, you're less likely to go AWOL and start killing people. You're less likely to go AWOL and start, trying to kill your spouse or beat them up or harm them or X or Y, your exes and all these people, you force yourself to get into a relationship with in the past, and it's, it all failed. And now you're miserable because they're trying to make you miserable every single day because, you broke up with them or they broke up with you and they're not happy about it. Life is just filled with so much misery, and it's by choice. You chose to go to hell when you should have gone to heaven. Yes, it's harder to go to heaven, but if you go towards heaven, God will be there to help you. Although it's harder, God is there to help you. God will be by your side when you go to heaven. As long as you're walking towards heaven, God will be by your side the whole time through, helping you, guiding you, making it easier and easier for you to walk. That's how life works. The harder it is, it's only hard in the beginning. As you keep walking down the path of towards heaven, life will get easier and easier as God helps you more and more. It looks hard in the beginning, but it gets easier and easier as you walk. Hell looks easy in the beginning. Going to hell looks easy in the beginning, but it gets harder and harder as you walk. That's how life works. It's easier to enter, to go towards hell, but it's harder to stay there. Because no one wants to be depressed all their lives. No one wants to be anxious all their lives. No one wants to be stressed out all their lives. No one wants to be suicidal all their lives. It's harder to stay in hell than it is to stay in heaven. Although it's harder to go to heaven, it's easier to stay there. Who doesn't want to be happy their entire life? Who doesn't want to feel bliss their entire life? Who doesn't want to feel, relieved, peaceful, and, all the good things in life, Who doesn't want to experience love? Who doesn't want to experience love? You won't find love in hell. Love is in heaven. You're looking at the wrong place for love. You're looking at the wrong place for love if you want to go to hell. Love does not exist in hell. And God will not force you to find love. You have to make the conscious choice to look for the person you love. The person you love will not be forced into your life. If you don't go out of your way to look for the person you love, you'll never find it. This is how life works. If you force yourself into a relationship with someone you don't want to be in, just because it's easier to be in a relationship than not to be in a relationship, guess what? You won't find love in hell. You will never find love in hell. If you want to look for love, look for love. If you want to look for happiness, look for happiness. Do not settle for something that doesn't make you happy. Do not settle for something that you don't, for someone or something you don't love. Do not settle for a job that you don't love. Look for a different job before you become the mindless drone that kills everyone, at their job. Do not settle for a bad church. Someone goes to church often. Do not settle for a bad church you don't love. Look for a different church. Shop around. Look for a different church. You may find a much better church than you can possibly imagine. A church you will never give up to the day you die. There are churches out there that are just perfect just for you. There are, jobs out there that are just perfect just for you. There are relationships out there that is just perfect just for you. They're out there. But if you don't search for it, you will never get it. I'm not saying search for it by just jumping from relationship to relationship. That's not how it works. The moment it's easy to get into a relationship, it's hard to get out of it. Search for it by just, asking the people you want to get into a relationship questions before you get into a relationship with them, Study who they are. If there's a red flag, run away. That red flag will increase as time goes on. It will get bigger and bigger until, the whole thing just consumes the relationship. It will not disappear. It will only get bigger. It will be magnified. It's so easy to ignore it in the beginning. It's so easy to ignore that hell, it sucks in the beginning. But as you keep going down the path of hell, it'll just keep getting worse and worse and worse and worse until your life is ruined. And that's how life works. It's easy to go to hell. It's hard to go to heaven. So that's it for today's podcast episode. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.